Imagine spending like 20 years climbing to the absolute top of your industry.
Oh, yeah. Putting in the grueling hours.
Right. You make all the sacrifices, you do the late nights, and you finally reach the summit. But when you look around, this horrifying realization sets in.
You scaled the wrong mountain.
Exactly. I mean, you have the money, you've got the impressive title, the flawless resume, but underneath it all, you just feel completely, inexplicably empty.
It's surprisingly common, too.
It really is. So today, we are diagnosing what is basically the modern epidemic of empty success. Welcome to the deep dive.
Glad to be here for this one.
Yeah, we are taking a really hard look at an incredibly insightful essay by Dr. Ryan Baidya. He's from the Takshila Foundation. And the mission for you, the listener, is to kind of strip away all those conventional, superficial metrics of achievement.
The grades, the bank accounts, the corner offices.
All of that. We want to uncover the actual philosophical framework you need to build a life that, actually sustains you rather than just drains you. So, okay, let's unpack this. Because Dr. Baidya points out a really painful paradox that pretty much defines our era. You can be dripping with talent, relentlessly busy from dawn until dusk, surrounded by thousands of contacts on LinkedIn.
And still feel utterly lost.
And totally alone.
Yeah, what's fascinating here is the immediate distinction the author draws between skill and wisdom. Because, society is completely obsessed with skill acquisition.
Oh, totally. Resumes are just lists of skills.
Exactly. We spend decades in universities and corporate training programs just building up these skills. And if you think of skills as the engine of a high-performance vehicle, well, they just determine how fast you can go.
Okay, I like that.
But wisdom, however, is the steering wheel. It provides the ultimate direction.
Right.
It doesn't really matter if you are, say, a student stressing over final exams, or a seasoned executive, or a founder launching a startup. I mean, even someone just trying to navigate a major life transition.
Yeah, without the steering wheel, you're in trouble.
Right. Without the steering wheel of wisdom, a massive engine just drives you in these chaotic circles at terrifying speeds.
Which completely explains the profound exhaustion so many of us feel. I mean, you are burning premium fuel, gripping the wheel, and getting absolutely nowhere.
Spinning out.
Yeah. So to solve this baseline problem of feeling lost, the essay introduces a framework. It's built on 4 essential requirements for a meaningful life.
Right.
And the foundational internal driver is simple in concept, but incredibly difficult in execution. Basically, every person needs something to do.
Something to do.
Right. Now, my immediate reaction when I read that was, well, I have way too much to do. My inbox is an absolute nightmare right now.
Right. But we aren't talking about answering emails, are we?
No, definitely not.
We're talking about the critical difference between busyness and actual purpose.
Yeah. Okay.
Having something to do in this philosophical context, it means engaging in faithful effort and discipline.
Applied to a worthwhile endeavor, right?
Exactly. It is work that demands your excellence and gives a definitive shape to your raw energy. Dr. Baidya anchors this whole concept with a profound directive from the Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah, specifically chapter 2, verse 47.
Yes, the one. It says, "You have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of your actions."
Okay. Not entitled to the fruits of your actions. That is a massive paradigm shift.
It really is.
I mean, it flies directly in the face of how modern professionals are conditioned to operate. From kindergarten, we are trained to trade our labor for a gold star.
Yes, the transaction of it all.
Exactly. We do the late nights specifically to get the promotion. We study specifically to get the degree.
And this exposes the major flaw in our psychological conditioning. We are entirely outcome-oriented.
Right.
When your entire focus is locked on the fruit, the reward, the applause, the end-of-year bonus, you completely lose the intrinsic value of the work itself.
You're just chasing the carrot.
Right. And you also surrender your emotional stability to external factors you literally cannot control.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
The market might crash, right? The boss might play favorites.
Yeah.
The algorithm might change overnight.
That's so true.
Purpose is found in the devotion to the duty itself. It is the faithful, daily execution of your craft, independent of whether the universe decides to hand you a trophy for it at the end of the day.
I love that. It sounds like chasing the fruits of your actions is kind of like running on a treadmill while staring obsessively at the calorie counter.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
Every single second feels like this grinding punishment. You are exhausted, you're sweating, and you are literally going nowhere.
Just staring at the numbers.
Yeah. But focusing on the duty, the actual purpose, is like running through this beautiful, complex forest to get home.
Right.
You are expending the exact same amount of energy, maybe even more, but the psychological experience is entirely transformed.
Yeah.
You are engaging with the terrain. You're moving with deep intention.
The treadmill creates burnout. The forest path creates fulfillment.
Exactly.
I would actually encourage you, listening right now, to audit your own daily routine. Look your calendar. Are you sprinting on a treadmill of busyness, just constantly chasing the next dopamine hit of a completed metric?
The endless to-do lists.
Right. Or is your day anchored by a genuine, intentional purpose that you would pursue even if nobody clapped for you?
That's a tough question to ask yourself. But here's the trap of intense purpose. You can find that forest poster. You can become so completely devoted to your daily duty that you end up entirely isolated.
Oh, absolutely.
Like if your purpose becomes a fortress that keeps everyone else out, that very purpose becomes toxic. And that tension brings us to the necessary counterbalance in the essay, which is every person needs someone to love.
Because achievement without love is a fundamentally hollow victory.
Yeah.
You can climb to the absolute apex of your field, but if you arrive at the summit alone, well, the view is going to be incredibly bleak.
Just you and your trophy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The author is adamant that living exclusively for yourself does not constitute a life lived well.
Yeah.
Love, whether that manifests as, fierce devotion to your family, deep loyalty to your friends, genuine care for your colleagues, or active service to your community, it forces you to decenter your own ego.
It teaches the lessons that success actively tries to unteach us, honestly.
Not so.
Well, success in the corporate world usually demands that we take up space, right? We have to assert our dominance and relentlessly advocate for our own worth.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, and love demands the exact opposite.
Right.
Love requires you to make space for others. It teaches patience. It nurtures profound empathy. And it instills this sense of responsibility for someone else's well-being.
Which is so grounding.
It really is. It smooths out the sharp, aggressive edges that unchecked ambition inevitably creates. I mean, if your portfolio is full but your life is empty of love, the success is just an illusion.
Man. So, okay, we have these two really powerful internal drivers, purposeful action and love. But let's be fiercely realistic about the world we live in.
Always a good idea.
You can have a profound sense of purpose and a family you absolutely adore and still get hit by a brutal economic downturn.
Or a terrifying health crisis.
Exactly. Or just a period of crushing professional failure. The engine just runs out of gas. Purpose and love can eventually drain our cognitive reserves if we face relentless friction.
Yeah, you can only run on your own fumes for so long.
Right. So what sustains the structure when the internal tank is completely empty?
Well, when internal drive collapses, we have to rely on external sustenance. This brings us to the third essential requirement. Every person needs someone who believes in them.
Someone who believes in them.
Yeah. It is biologically and psychologically nearly impossible to sustain self-belief in a total vacuum. The author highlights how a single external voice, say, a high school teacher recognizing hidden talent in a disruptive student.
Or a senior manager actively sponsoring a junior employee.
Exactly. Or even just a friend speaking irrational confidence into your life when your own is completely shattered. That one voice alters the entire trajectory of human life.
It's basically the concept of borrowed conviction.
Borrowed conviction. I like that.
Yeah, like when your own bank account of confidence is overdrawn, they lend you theirs. They hold the vision of your ultimate potential for you until you recover the strength to hold it yourself.
And that borrowed conviction is a psychological lifeline.
It really is.
It awakens dormant courage. It interrupts the cycle of despair and gives you the vital energy required to take just one more step, especially when the most logical, rational decision would be to just surrender.
And working in tandem with that external voice of belief is the internal mechanism of the force killer. Every person needs something to hope for.
Right, hope.
Now, I want to play devil's advocate here for a second and push back on the concept of hope.
Okay, let's hear it.
Because in a ruthless, hyper-competitive business environment, hope sounds dangerously passive.
Like a greeting card.
Exactly. It sounds like crossing your fingers, dreaming a little dream, and just wishing the quarterly revenue magically increases. To a lot of people, it sounds like the absolute absence of a viable strategy.
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, hope is actually the exact opposite of passivity.
Okay.
The author leans on a really powerful teaching from APJ Abdul Kalam, the former president of India and that's a brilliant aerospace scientist.
Yeah.
Kalam instructed, dream, dream, dream. Dreams transform into thoughts, and thoughts result in action. This isn't fluffy motivation, right? Kalama's describing a concrete cognitive pipeline.
Okay, explain the mechanism there. How does a dream physically force an action?
Well, when you hold a vivid, concrete vision of a better future, a true dream, it creates intense cognitive dissonance with your flawed present reality.
Ah, because the two don't match.
Exactly. The human brain completely despises that gap between what is and what could be.
Hmm.
So to resolve that psychological tension, your brain subconsciously begins scanning your environment for tools, relationships, and opportunities to close the gap.
So it changes how you see the world.
Literally. Hope alters your reticular activating system. It changes what your brain actually pays attention to. The dream dictates your daily habits. If hope does not result in tangible, forward-moving action, the author argues it isn't hope at all.
It's just a comfortable illusion.
Precisely.
Wow. So hope isn't sitting on the couch waiting for a miracle. Hope is the agonizing, gritty fuel that forces you off the couch to go build the prototype,
Yes.
to make the cold calls, to write the manuscript, even when the statistical odds are entirely against you.
It is the mechanism that keeps the heart and the mind functioning when the journey becomes brutally difficult.
So we have this beautifully dynamic structure now. Something to do, someone to love, someone who believes in you, and something to hope for.
The 4 pillars.
Right. But Dr. Baidya takes a very sharp, uncompromising turn at this point in the essay. You could possess all 4 of those pillars. You could have the dream job, the perfect family, the ultimate mentor, and unshakable hope.
And it could still all fall apart.
Exactly. That entire structure will experience a catastrophic, inevitable collapse if it is built on a rotten foundation.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the absolute necessity of moral character.
And the author is ruthless on this point. A successful life is never defined solely by the magnitude of what you achieve, but by the integrity of how you achieve it.
Right.
Purpose without integrity isn't a calling, it's just selfish ambition. Hope without honesty isn't a vision, it's a scam.
Ouch. Yeah.
Dr. Baidya distills this into 2 enduring, inescapable truths about time and morality. Truth number 1, there is never a right time to do the wrong thing.
Never a right time to do the wrong thing.
Not even if it is highly convenient, widely accepted, or guaranteed to stay hidden.
Wow.
And truth number 2, there is never a wrong time to do the right thing, even if it is professionally costly, deeply embarrassing, or incredibly difficult.
Okay, let me ask a pointed question on behalf of the listener who is, nodding along right now, but also living in the real world. Because in the modern corporate landscape, telling the unvarnished truth like, say, admitting a massive, costly mistake to a major client, or refusing to manipulate a spreadsheet that literally everyone else is tweaking, that might actually cost you a promotion.
Oh, it might get you fired.
Exactly. So how does this philosophical framework reconcile doing the right thing with the very real, terrifying risk of falling permanently behind your peers?
This raises an important question, and it is a brutal, everyday tension. The author doesn't offer a fairy tale where doing the right thing magically yields a promotion the next day.
Right.
The right choice is frequently the most painful one in the short term. However, the reconciliation relies on understanding the mechanics of a compromised life.
Okay.
When you build your success on a lie, a stolen idea, or a cut corner, you dramatically increase your daily cognitive load.
Because you have to keep track of it all.
Exactly. You are suddenly spending vast amounts of mental energy keeping the story straight, managing the anxiety of discovery, guarding your territory.
It's like you're building a house on a fault line. The structural integrity is compromised from day one.
Precisely. And over time, that massive cognitive load degrades your decision-making abilities. You lose the intrinsic trust of your peers and your network. The short-term gain permanently fractures the foundation.
Yeah, you might secure the funding today, but you will eventually lose the company.
Doing the right thing preserves your mental clarity and builds unshakable, lasting trust. And in the long game of a career, deep trust is the only true currency that survives market fluctuations.
Man, that's powerful. So if the overarching foundation is this uncompromising moral character, what does that actually look like on a random Tuesday morning?
Right.
Because most of us are not facing cinematic, life-or-death ethical dilemmas on a daily basis. The battleground for character seems much more mundane.
And character is almost entirely forged in the mundane. The essay references another profound piece of wisdom from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, verse 47. It says, "It is better to do one's own dharma, even though imperfectly, than to do another's dharma, even though perfectly."
Better to do one's own dharma imperfectly.
Yes. This is a mandate for absolute authenticity.
See, here's where it gets really interesting to me. Let's pause on that word dharma, because in a modern professional context, that feels like a massive warning sign against the influencer trap.
Oh, definitely.
We live in an era of obsessive comparison. We see a thought leader or a billionaire or just a successful colleague, and the immediate temptation is to copy-paste their morning routine.
Their communication style, their whole career path.
Right, expecting it to yield the exact same results for us. But borrowing someone else's dharma is like taking off your own glasses and putting on someone else's heavy prescription lenses.
Uh-huh.
You might strut around looking incredibly smart and sophisticated to everyone else in the room, but behind those lenses, you are dizzy, you are constantly stumbling, and you literally cannot see where you are going.
Because you're executing a flawless imitation of an illusion, rather than living your own messy, authentic reality.
Exact.
The biological and psychological cost of masking, of pretending to be someone you are not for 40 hours a week, is astronomical. Success demands radical faithfulness to your own unique wiring, your own strengths, and your own values.
Yeah.
And Dr. Baidya translates this grand concept of authentic dharma into the absolute smallest micro-habits. He points specifically to honesty and, surprisingly, punctuality.
Honesty makes total sense, obviously. Truth in thought, word, and action reduces that cognitive load we talked about. But punctuality.
I know, it seems weird.
Yeah, I have to admit, reading a deep philosophical treatise on the meaning of life and suddenly getting a lecture about being 5 minutes late to a Zoom meeting felt a little jarring.
It seems like a massive drop in stakes, right?
Yeah.
But the author elevates punctuality far beyond mere clock watching. Punctuality is a profound empathy exercise.
How so?
It is a physical, undeniable manifestation of respect. When you are habitually late, you are subconsciously communicating to the other person that your time, your schedule, and your life are inherently more valuable than theirs.
Oh, man. That stings a little, but it's true.
Showing up on time proves that you possess the discipline to decenter yourself. It is micro-morality. It demonstrates that you can be trusted with the massive high-stakes responsibilities because you are relentlessly faithful in the small, unglamorous acts of daily consistency.
So what does this all mean? Let's say you execute the blueprint. You find your authentic purpose, you surround yourself with fierce love, you hold on to unshakable hope, you borrow belief when you need it,
You act with absolute integrity.
and you always show up on time.
Right.
You cross the finish line, you achieve the goal. What happens then? Because the final segment of the essay serves as a massive warning label about the dangers of actually achieving success.
Right, because the most dangerous moment in a professional's life is the moment they believe they have fully arrived.
Yeah.
Success creates what we can call the expert trap. The moment you secure the prestigious title or hit the revenue goal, your ego starts whispering that asking questions is a sign of weakness.
You think you have to know everything.
You begin to believe that because you succeeded yesterday, you automatically know how to succeed tomorrow. You become rigid. Arrogance creeps in.
Which perfectly sets up the quote the author pulls from Steve Jobs' famous commencement address. Stay hungry, stay foolish.
Yes.
It's a demand to maintain the spirit of a beginner, no matter how many accolades you accumulate.
And Dr. Baidya pairs that beautifully with the operational philosophy of Satya Nadella. He completely revitalized Microsoft's culture by demanding that every single employee transition from being a know-it-all to a learn-it-all.
A learn it all. That actually requires an immense amount of quiet confidence.
Oh, absolutely. It requires the ego strength to sit in a boardroom full of people who expect you to have all the answers
Yeah.
and comfortably admit, I don't know, let's figure it out.
Yeah.
Arrogance makes an executive or a parent or a friend incredibly brittle. When the environment shifts, the brittle structure snaps. Curiosity, however, makes you infinitely adaptable.
So the ultimate metric of a successful life is not reaching a static finish line.
No.
It is becoming the kind of person who is completely unafraid to keep growing.
Exactly.
Wow. This entire framework completely re-engineers how we evaluate our own lives. We have covered profound territory today, dissecting Dr. Baidya's deep philosophical approach to living a life of actual substance.
It's a lot to process.
It is.
Yeah.
Let's lock in the core takeaways. If you are determined to build a life that does not leave you feeling stranded and empty at the summit, you must secure these non-negotiables. You must transition from busyness to a purpose you can pour your excellence into. You need to decenter yourself by fiercely loving others. You need to allow mentors to lend you their belief when you are empty. And you must hold on to a vivid hope that dictates your daily actions. But remember, that entire beautiful structure will collapse if it isn't bolted to a foundation of uncompromising integrity.
A commitment to walking your own authentic path.
Instead of wearing someone else's glasses, yeah. And the humble, foolish courage to be a learn-it-all every single day.
It really is a phenomenal blueprint for escaping the treadmill. And as we close, I want to leave you with one final, highly actionable thought to mull over today.
Okay.
The author stated as an absolute fact that every single human being requires someone who believes in them in order to survive the friction of life. We cannot generate that fuel entirely on our own.
We need that borrowed conviction.
Right. But he also noted that our ultimate responsibility is to become that vital source of external belief for the people around us.
Oh, wow.
If that is true, if your borrowed conviction is a literal prerequisite for someone else's thriving, then consider this question. Whose success in your ecosystem right now is quietly, desperately waiting on you to be the person who believes in them?
That's a huge question.
Who is the colleague, the friend, or the family member you need to call, text, or pull aside today to offer that life-changing, completely unearned belief in their potential?
Because the beautiful irony is, the moment you step up to offer that belief to someone else, you aren't just altering their trajectory.
No.
You are finding your own direction. You are finally stepping off the exhausting treadmill, walking deep into the forest, and finding your own way out of that crowded, noisy room where everyone looks successful, but so many are still completely lost.